I caught my mom having an affair with my fiancé on our wedding day, so I exposed their messages to everyone during the reception, and now she's trying to blame me for destroying the family. I'm 28 years old, and until 3 weeks ago, I was engaged to my boyfriend of 5 years, James. We met in college and had what I thought was a perfect relationship. He was charming, ambitious, and everyone in my family adored him, especially my mother. Looking back, I should have noticed the signs. My mom always insisted on inviting James over when I couldn't make it to family dinners due to my work schedule. She'd text him directly instead of going through me. She'd buy him expensive gifts for no reason, which I initially thought was sweet since my dad passed away when I was in college, and I assumed she was just happy to have another man in the family. James proposed on my birthday last year, and we set the wedding date for this spring. The wedding planning process was stressful, but my mom stepped in to help with everything. She insisted on being involved in every decision, from the venue to the flowers to the menu. At the time, I was grateful for her help since I was working long hours at my new job, but now I realize she had ulterior motives. The week before our wedding, I noticed James acting strange. He was distant, always on his phone, and making excuses to leave the house for hours at a time. I tried to tell myself it was just pre-wedding jitters, but something felt off. I've never been the type to snoop, but 2 nights before our wedding, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. James fell asleep on the couch with his phone in his hand, and I did something I never thought I would do. I checked his messages. What I found shattered my world. There were hundreds of messages between him and my mother, going back at least a year. They weren't just friendly texts. They were explicit, filled with I love yous and plans to meet up when I wasn't around. I felt physically sick as I scrolled through their conversations. There were photos I can never unsee, messages about how they would continue their relationship after the wedding, and worst of all, my mother saying things like, "She doesn't deserve you, but we have to keep up appearances." I couldn't believe it. My own mother and my fiancé had been having an affair behind my back for at least a year, possibly longer. I took screenshots of everything, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. Then I put his phone back and went to our bedroom, where I cried all night, trying to figure out what to do. My first instinct was to call off the wedding immediately, but something inside me wanted revenge. They had humiliated me for months, lying to my face while sneaking around behind my back. The thought of them getting away with it, of everyone just thinking we had called off the wedding for normal reasons, made my blood boil. So I made a decision that would change everything. I decided to go through with the ceremony. The morning of my wedding was surreal. I got ready alongside my bridesmaids, including my sister who had no idea what was happening. My mother was there too, helping me into my dress, fixing my hair, all while wearing a smile that I now saw as nothing but a mask. Every time she touched me, I felt physically ill, but I kept it together. The ceremony went as planned. I walked down the aisle, said my vows, and became James's wife, all while knowing what I was about to do. After the ceremony, we headed to the reception, and that's when I put my plan into action. During the reception, there's traditionally a moment when the bride and groom give speeches. When it was my turn, I stood up, glass in hand, and thanked everyone for coming. Then I said I had a special presentation to share. I had created a slideshow of the screenshots I'd taken from James's phone. Not the explicit photos, but the messages, dozens of them, displayed on the giant screen for everyone to see. The room went completely silent as everyone realized what they were looking at. The dates, the pet names, the plans they had made, all there for our 200 guests to see. I specifically included messages where they discussed meeting up on days when I thought James was working late or when my mother claimed to be at her book club. I included the messages where they discussed how they would continue their relationship after our wedding. And I included the worst one, where my mother said I didn't deserve him. Then I simply said, "The wedding is off. You two deserve each other," placed my wedding ring on the table, and walked out. The chaos that erupted behind me was like something from a movie. I could hear gasps, shouting, my sister screaming at our mother, James trying to follow me before being stopped by my uncles. I had arranged for a friend to be waiting outside with a car, and I left without looking back. That was 3 weeks ago. I've been staying at a hotel, ignoring calls from everyone except my sister, who has been my rock through all of this. She's been keeping me updated on the family fallout, and it's been intense. My mother has been telling everyone who will listen that I misunderstood the messages, that there was an innocent explanation, and that I've destroyed our family by humiliating her publicly. She's even tried to claim that James pursued her, that she was vulnerable after my father's death, and that she made a mistake but didn't deserve to be exposed like that. James has apparently left town. According to my sister, he packed up and moved back to his parents' house in another state. He sent me one email, not to apologize, but to tell me I had ruined his life and that I would regret what I did. I blocked his email address immediately. What's been hardest to deal with is that some family members are actually taking my mother's side. My aunt, her sister, called me to say that while what my mother did was wrong, I should have handled it privately instead of destroying the family reputation. My grandmother said that sometimes we need to forgive family no matter what they've done. Even my cousin, who I've always been close with, suggested that I overreacted and should have considered how this would affect everyone else. Am I going crazy? Am I really supposed to have kept this quiet, to have cancelled the wedding with some vague excuse, and let my mother continue to look me in the eye every day knowing what she did? The thought makes me sick. My sister says I did the right thing, that they deserve to be exposed, and that anyone who thinks otherwise is enabling my mother's betrayal. But I can't help wondering if there was another way to handle it. The doubt is creeping in, especially with so many people telling me I went too far. Update 1. It's been 2 months since my non-wedding day, and so much has happened that I felt I needed to update you all. First, thank you for the overwhelming support. Reading your comments helped me realize I wasn't crazy for exposing them, they deserved it. I've officially filed for an annulment, which should be straightforward since the marriage was never consummated and there was clearly fraud involved. My lawyer says there shouldn't be any issues, especially given the circumstances. The family situation has evolved in unexpected ways. Initially, there was a clear divide, with some family members supporting me and others thinking I went too far with the public exposure. But things shifted dramatically when my sister, who had been going through my mother's things looking for some important family documents, found a journal my mother had been keeping. What she discovered was disturbing, to say the least. The journal revealed that my mother and James's relationship didn't just happen, it was calculated. There were entries dating back to when James and I first started dating, with my mother writing about how attractive she found him and how she was going to make him see what he was missing by being with me. The most shocking part was learning that they had been involved for nearly 3 years, not just one as I had thought. Their affair started shortly after my father died, when James came over to help my mother with some household repairs while I was away on a business trip. My sister was so disgusted by what she read that she scanned several pages and sent them to our extended family members who had been critical of my actions. Suddenly, those family members who thought I had gone too far were calling to apologize. My aunt, who had been one of my harshest critics, showed up at my new apartment in tears, begging for forgiveness for not believing me. My grandmother, who initially told me to forgive my mother, has now completely cut contact with her. According to my sister, she told my mother that she had never been so ashamed of anyone in her entire life and that she was removing her from her will. As for my mother, she's been essentially excommunicated from the family. No one will speak to her except my uncle, her brother, who is trying to get her into therapy. She's been calling me constantly, leaving voicemails alternating between tearful apologies and angry accusations that I've turned the family against her. I haven't responded to any of them. The most surprising development came last week when James's mother contacted me. Apparently, James had told his family that I called off the wedding because I was having an affair, not the other way around. His mother had been suspicious of his story and reached out to my sister for the truth. When she learned what really happened, she was mortified. She came to see me in person to apologize for raising such a disappointment of a son and to return the family heirloom jewelry that James's grandmother had given me for the wedding. She told me that she had kicked James out of their house when she learned the truth, and that he was now staying with a friend and looking for work in another city. As for me, I'm slowly rebuilding my life. I've moved into a new apartment, started seeing a therapist, and I've been focusing on my career. My company has been incredibly supportive, even offering me a transfer to our branch in another city if I want a fresh start. I'm seriously considering it. The hardest part has been dealing with the loss of not just my relationship, but my relationship with my mother. Despite everything she did, there are moments when I miss the mother I thought I had. My therapist says this is normal, that I'm grieving the person I thought she was, not the person she actually turned out to be. My sister suggested that maybe someday, after a lot of therapy and genuine remorse from our mother, there might be a path to some kind of relationship. But right now, I can't imagine ever trusting her again. The betrayal runs too deep. Update 2. It's been 6 months since everything happened, and I'm finally starting to feel like myself again. I took the transfer my company offered and moved to a new city 3 months ago. The fresh start has been exactly what I needed: new apartment, new friends, new routines, all without the shadow of betrayal hanging over me. The annulment was finalized last month. It was surprisingly straightforward, with James not contesting anything. According to my lawyer, he just wanted it over with as quickly as possible. I didn't have to see him throughout the process, which was a relief. The most significant change has been in my relationship with my extended family. After the initial shock and division, most of them have rallied around me in ways I never expected. My aunt invited me to stay with her family for a few weeks before my move, my cousins have visited me in my new city, and my grandmother calls me every Sunday without fail. My sister has become my closest confidant. She decided to cut contact with our mother completely and has been seeing a therapist to process her own feelings of betrayal. We've actually grown closer through all of this, finding strength in each other when it felt like our family foundation had crumbled. As for my mother, I've maintained my distance. She continued her campaign of alternating between apologies and blame for several months before apparently accepting that I wasn't going to respond. My uncle told me she's been seeing a therapist regularly and has finally started to acknowledge the magnitude of what she did, but I'm not ready to hear it directly from her. The most unexpected twist came 3 weeks ago when I received a letter from James. Not an email, an actual handwritten letter. I almost threw it away without reading it, but curiosity got the better of me. In the letter, James confessed everything: how the affair started, how my mother pursued him initially but he was equally responsible for letting it continue, how they had convinced themselves that what they were doing wasn't really hurting me because I would never find out. He admitted that they had planned to continue their relationship after the wedding, meeting in secret while maintaining the facade of a normal mother-in-law/son-in-law relationship. The most revealing part was his explanation of why he went through with the wedding despite the affair. According to him, my mother had threatened to tell me everything if he broke up with me, and he was too cowardly to face the consequences of their actions. So instead, he decided to marry me while continuing to see my mother behind my back. He ended the letter by saying he was in therapy, had realized the extent of the damage he'd caused, and that while he didn't expect forgiveness, he wanted me to know he would regret what he did for the rest of his life. I read the letter once, then burned it in my kitchen sink. I didn't feel anger or sadness, just a profound sense of closure. Their deception had been even more calculated than I'd imagined, and it confirmed that exposing them was absolutely the right thing to do. Recently, I've started dating again, cautiously. I met someone through a cooking class I joined, and we've been seeing each other for about a month. He knows the broad strokes of what happened, and has been patient and understanding when I've needed to take things slow. It's too early to know where it's going, but for the first time in a long time, I'm excited about the possibility. I still have moments of doubt and pain. There are days when I wake up angry, when I can't believe the two people who were supposed to love me the most betrayed me so thoroughly. But those days are becoming less frequent. My therapist says that what happened will always be part of my story, but it doesn't have to define my future. I'm starting to believe that's true. I'm building a life I never imagined for myself, one that's entirely my own, free from the shadows of betrayal. Update 3. It's been a year since the wedding that wasn't, and I'm writing this final update from a place I never thought I'd reach: genuine happiness. The transfer to a new city turned into a promotion 6 months ago. I'm now managing my own team and loving the challenge. My new apartment finally feels like home, and I've made friends who know me for who I am now, not as the woman whose mother slept with her fiancé. The relationship I mentioned in my last update has grown into something beautiful. David is kind, honest, and respects boundaries in a way I never experienced with James. He recently met my sister and they got along wonderfully. It's still early, but for the first time since everything happened, I'm allowing myself to believe in the possibility of a healthy, loving partnership. The most significant development came 3 months ago when my mother showed up at my apartment unannounced. I hadn't seen her in person since the wedding day, and the shock of finding her standing at my door left me speechless. She looked different, older, somehow smaller. She didn't try to come inside, just asked if we could talk somewhere public. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet her at a cafe nearby. Our conversation was nothing like I expected. There was no defensiveness, no shifting blame, no minimizing what she had done. Instead, she handed me a letter from her therapist confirming she'd been in intensive therapy for the past year, along with a written apology that acknowledged the full extent of her betrayal. She told me she didn't expect forgiveness and wasn't there to ask for it. She said she had spent the past year coming to terms with the kind of person she had become and was committed to changing, not to win me back, but because she never wanted to cause that kind of pain to anyone again. The most surprising part was her revelation that she had sold her house, my childhood home, and was moving across the country to give me the space I deserved. She said the family would always be mine, and she would respect whatever boundaries I set, including never contacting me again if that's what I wanted. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to scream at her, to make her feel even a fraction of the pain she'd caused me. Another part recognized the genuine remorse in her eyes. I finally told her I appreciated her respecting my space and that while I couldn't imagine ever having a close relationship with her again, I might be open to occasional updates through my sister, just to know she was okay. It wasn't forgiveness, I'm not sure if that will ever come completely, but it was a step towards something like peace. We parted ways with an awkward goodbye, and I watched her walk away, feeling lighter somehow. As for James, I heard through mutual friends that he moved to the West Coast and is working for a small company there. Apparently, the entire ordeal changed him, and he's been volunteering with a crisis center in his spare time. I wish him well from a distance, a very large distance. My extended family has healed in ways I never expected. The divisions that formed after my wedding day revelation have mostly mended, with everyone coming to understand that exposing the affair, while painful and public, was the consequence of my mother and James's actions, not mine. My grandmother, who turns 90 next month, has become my fiercest defender. She told me recently that while she initially thought I should have handled things privately, she now believes I did exactly what needed to be done. Some betrayals are so profound, she said, that they forfeit the right to privacy. My sister has been my constant through all of this. She moved to a city just 2 hours from mine, and we see each other almost every weekend. We've both been working through our complicated feelings about our mother, supporting each other through therapy and late-night phone calls when memories become too much. Looking back at the woman I was a year ago, heartbroken, betrayed, questioning myself, I barely recognize her. The pain of what happened will always be part of me, but it no longer defines me. I've built a life I'm proud of, surrounded by people who love me honestly and openly. If there's anything I've learned from this experience, it's that sometimes the most painful betrayals lead to unexpected freedom. I lost the future I thought I wanted, but gained a life that's authentically mine. And for that, strangely enough, I'm grateful. To anyone going through something similar, trust yourself. When people show you who they are, believe them. And know that on the other side of betrayal, there can be a life more beautiful than you ever imagined.